Hello, introverts and extroverts. I'm sure we all know of the rat, I mean mouse. Sorry, my animation school lingo is coming out. I'm kidding. I have a love-hate relationship with Disney Corporation for reasons I won't get into right now. But what I will get into is to talk about my bad or interesting experiences in the mouse's domain. Disney World, plus Universal, because I also have issues with that theme park. Now, I haven't been to Disney World or Universal since I was 15, and I would really love to go again, but I'm not gonna lie, there's moments from my family vacations that I really hope don't occur again. So let's talk about it. Geez, what incident do I talk about first? Oh, okay. We'll go from least bad to most bad. I think that's a good place to start. So basically, me and my family had reservations at one of the restaurants at Disney World, and we got there a little bit early, and we sat in the lobby waiting for them to call my family up. And they had Mulan playing on one of the TV screens there, so I was watching it and waiting and waiting and waiting. Wait. I'm almost done watching Mulan, and I've been watching since like the start. And the lady at the counter hasn't called our names yet, and our reservation was due like an hour ago, and we've just been like sitting here. Mom, I think they forgot us. They didn't forget us. No. I think they forgot us. They did not. One conversation with the staff later. So yeah, it turns out, Jess, they did indeed forget us. So, they just straight up saw my family of like over 10 people just in their lobby for an hour and just didn't question it. They thought we were just like hanging out in there. I wonder honestly how much longer we would have waited there if I didn't realize that I was almost done watching the entirety of fucking Mulan. But you know, watching Mulan wasn't a bad thing because the staff felt bad enough that they gave us several paper fast passes for whatever rides we wanted. That was a lifesaver, I'll tell you that much. My oldest sister, who's the Disney master, made sure we saved those puppies for the longest line waits and stuff we didn't already have digital fast pass reservations for. If you didn't know, there's a Fountain of Cinderella in the Magic Kingdom, and I was told as a little 7-year-old that if we threw a coin into it, that our wish would come true. Like 100% without a doubt would happen because it's a wish that was in Cinderella's fountain, and it was really important. Anyways, as a 7-year-old, you'd believe that, right? A wish, huh? Psh, that's baby stuff. What could a refined 7-year-old like me ask for anyways? I wish I could meet Mario in real life. Please. He's my hero. Now hold your judgment. I was 7 and my first fictional crush was Mario when I was 4. So it just would have been nice to, just meet my hero, okay? Once our Disney trip ended and a few months went by, I came to a realization. I hadn't met Mario yet. I didn't know that wishes had like a wait time. I felt like I sort of just wasted my wish when I could have, wished for something more practical, like money. So like any normal child, I cried about it. Jess, what's wrong? Mario will never love me. I told my dad that Disney was scamming me by not granting my wish to meet Mario. They were withholding my dream from me! My dad, clanking his brain cells together, came up with a brilliant plan. Hello, is this Mr. Walt Disney himself? Yes, I'm calling concerning the fact that you have not fulfilled my child's wish. Yes, she's very upset. Yes, of course, thank you, the Walt Disney. So, Walt Disney will give you a wish refund next time that we go. But what if we never go back? Yeah, I don't think I ever got my refund. What I did get, however, was my parents divorcing not long after that Disney trip. That's so fun! Do you, like, always use humor to cope? Yeah? I don't think that's very healthy. Sock, if I didn't laugh, I would cry. Look, I don't go into your little laundry house with your little sock wife and tell you how to rearrange your tiny little furniture, okay? Okay, I see your point. Now, a fact that most of you don't know about me is that I have very sensitive skin, but what I also have is that I'm predisposed to having a pretty common skin infection called Tiana versicolor, which is very treatable. However, it took several years for anyone to tell me what it actually was. Nowadays, I'm working on treating it, but obviously, letting it grow on my body over the last several years has made it so that not all of it is gone quite yet. But I'm getting there. Basically, how this skin condition has affected my life is that when I am in contact with the sun, or just heat or humidity in general, I feel like I am being boiled alive. And I think you guys can see where I am heading with this. So this was the last trip I took to Disney, so I was about 15, and this was like the first time that I noticed that this skin condition was actually causing problems for me. What's notable is that this was our only Disney trip that we took during summer, so that was probably part of the problem. And I actually even brought shorts and t-shirts despite being incredibly insecure because, you know, it was hot out. Big mistake. I'm telling you, my skin was actually like blood red in the areas where my skin had Tiana versicolor. I'm pretty sure that the American people just thought that I was some kind of infected zombie. And I was in excruciating pain. Like, every step, every movement just felt like I was laying down in hot sand, unable to get up, every grain burning as it scratches against your skin. It got so bad that I even found out that Disney has an emergency clinic. How can I help you today? My skin is burning. I'm sure it's not that bad. Oh my goodness! So they gave me like these little cooling gel packets. The problem is that they only relieved my pain for mere moments before continuing to burn once more. And when I came outside of the emergency clinic, my face just covered in tears, my arms and legs still blood red. A Starbucks employee gave me a free large ice water because she could see that I was having a hard time. I remember us going into the Carousel of Progress for the first time, mind you, and my mom putting the gel on me as I silently cried, and I could like barely move my limbs anymore at that point from the pain. Like, sure, Disney had nothing to do with my skin condition, but it still happened there. And next time I go to Disney, I will make damn well sure it's during winter time. I literally remember my legs remaining blood red for like weeks afterwards because they were still bright red when I went back to high school that fall. Now I can finally talk about Universal, and buckle up because I debated making Universal its own video. I'm sure Universal is lovely. They have those cool new areas that just came out that I really want to go to, but I've only gone to Universal one day in my entire life, and I think that most of my family agrees that it was the worst theme park experience we've ever had. So again, this is the trip from when I was 15, so keep in mind I was burning alive this whole time. We planned to stay in Florida for like 10-ish days. 9 of those days were for Disney, and one day we were going to go to Universal. Because why not? We've never been to Universal, so we thought it would be a grand old time. We go in, and I see a 4D Shrek ride. And I like Shrek. So me, my youngest sister, my second oldest sister, and my stepsister waited in line. Damn, I have a lot of sisters. The rest of my family didn't want to join us, so they stuck behind to look at the shops. Unfortunately for my sorry ass, the line was outside, and as I explained, this trip was the one that triggered my skin to the extreme. And I was very visibly uncomfortable out there, and I'm pretty sure everyone in that line could notice. I was basically like a vampire, hiding behind every sliver of shade that my fat ass could get behind. 2 hours. That line was a 2-hour wait in the blistering hot Florida sun. So yeah, not off to a great start for me. But we're in here, and I love Shrek. They gave us a little video basically explaining the ride before letting us in, and I thought it was going to be a little unique Shrek short film just for this ride, right? Right? Wrong. It's the same Shrek short film that I've seen a million times as a kid, Ghost of Farquaad. There was nothing, as far as I could see, indicating that this was the same short film that was out since 2003. Like, look at that sign. Had I known it was goddamn Ghost of Farquaad, I wouldn't have waited 2 hours, burning alive, just to watch a short that's less than 15 minutes that I've already seen in just slightly shaky chairs in 3D glasses. Now, since I got a picture of the sign, I've learned that this ride is now closed. Shrek, I love you, but absolutely fuck that ride. If you enjoyed it, I get it. Like, if you never saw that short film before in your life, and you went to see it, I get why you would like it, but considering how much pain I went through to not even enjoy the actual ride was a huge ass bummer, and several hours wasted. Let's see how many more hours we can waste today. So, the family members who didn't wait in line with us were kinda ticked off that it took so long, but I mean, we were pissed off too. Join the fucking club. We were like, fine. Let's just go to the Harry Potter area. That's why we decided to go to Universal for one day in the first place. My older sisters love Harry Potter, and I only saw the first movie before going to Universal, so it didn't really bother me. But, however, what I wanted more than anything was a Harry Potter wand. More specifically, the wands that they advertised worked in the park. Like, that would be so cool, getting to spin your wand around and activate stuff. Totally makes up for never meeting Mario when I was 7. Well, after waiting in line and, like, spending $100, I got my wand. I got Snape's wand because I thought his wand was rad as hell. The instructions seemed pretty easy to follow, however... Oh, maybe I didn't... Why don't you work? Maybe I'm doing it wrong. What the fuck? Please move. Is this just the fucking sword in the stone at Disney World? Like, you need a specific person to, like, wave the wand around for shit to work? I paid, like, an extra $30 to get this thing to work in the park, and I can't even do anything with it? As you can see, I was reasonably frustrated because I already get irritated in the heat because of my skin condition, and I wanted this wand for so long, and I can't even figure out how to use it even though I'm following the instructions to a T. People are, like, starting to stare at the 15-year-old who looks like an adult, getting visibly frustrated at the fact that they couldn't get the expensive piece of plastic to work. And I start feeling embarrassed. Alright, Jess, we gotta move on. We haven't gone on an actual ride all day, and we can't just stand here. No, I've been waiting to have this wand since they announced it. I need, like, just to activate one thing. We are not crying, do you hear me? I spent a lot of money for this trip, and you're not going to embarrass me with your tears. We're not leaving this spot until you smile. Do you hear me? Good. Let's go somewhere else. We headed to some kind of Harry Potter train ride because my older sisters wanted to go on it, and it was an attraction that all of us agreed to go on. But I was still kind of upsetty spaghetti that I couldn't use my wand, and it was getting on everyone's nerves. But the thing is, I wasn't even doing anything, just quietly sulking like upset teenagers normally do. But in their defense, I guess if you're having a shitty day but pretending to have a good time, the last thing you want is visibly seeing how your shitty day is also shitty for someone else and they just don't have the energy to also pretend that they're having a good time, because remember, I was in pain. It's kind of hard to hide how you're feeling under those circumstances. So in that very long line, I get scolded a few more times, so that was fun. Actually, you know what could have helped? My therapist has been teaching me this thing to just gaslight myself. Not actually, but hear me out. She told me I should just envision what I wish was done in order to make me feel better, to think about what my inner self actually needed in that moment. And I think instead of scolding me and making my mood worse, what would have helped was just to have a pretend moment of me using my wand, like, oh, look at that, you're moving my arm. You know, something stupid that a young teen would find endearing, even if they pretend to hate it. You know, seeing their family actually try to make them feel better instead of acting like they're the problem all day. But you know, that's not what happened, so let's stop living in fantasy land. We're waiting in that line for like 2.5 hours. Why are the lines at Universal so goddamn long? Okay, so we're basically where I can actually see the fucking ride now. That's good. I think we're like, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the second group of people that will actually be able to get on. Finally! Over 2 hours of waiting. I can finally see what all the hype is about. Who knows? Maybe having some fun will have them stop being mad at me. There it is! And after that, it'll be our turn. I think God is testing my patience today.
Attention all Hogwarts students. The train is temporarily shut down due to a safety risk.
You gotta be fucking kidding me! We can probably just wait it out. I've wanted to go on this ride since we planned this trip. I don't know, can we? Why don't we just ask the fucking disembodied voice?
The estimated wait time for the fix is 2 hours.
Yeah, no, I'm out. Yeah, that's what I figured. We decided to get something to eat, but Jesus Christ, the tension was so apparent you could cut it with fucking safety scissors. I thought maybe I could salvage this by using my wand, but where we chose to eat lunch was nowhere near the Harry Potter area, which at the time, I don't know if that's changed, you couldn't use the wand anywhere else outside of the Harry Potter zone. Damn, really could have used that $30. At this point, it's almost time that we needed to head back to Disney so we can make our dinner reservations. We mostly wandered around trying to find a single goddamn attraction that wouldn't take hours to even get on. Once again, need I remind you that every movement was extremely painful for me. So we thought, fuck it, let's just go. The entire day wasted for only one ride that only 1/3 of my family went on. Jeez, Jess, can you stop having an attitude? It's really not helping. My attitude isn't even that bad right now. I'm sorry if I couldn't find anything to smile about today, because I'm in pain and couldn't even do the one thing I've been dying to try here, which was this stupid fucking wand. I wouldn't have even bought this thing had I known I wasn't able to use it. Girls, no arguing. Is there any wand stuff you can do quickly in this area before we leave? No, because there's only 12 places where you can use this wand, and they're all at the other end of the park. I wouldn't have spent all my vacation money on this had I known I wouldn't have been able to use it at all. I wish we didn't even come here. So selfish. You're making Mom cry. Barely any of you seem to care when I spent the last days crying in pain. Thanks for coming to Universal. Would you like to rate your day? No. Okay. Hello, thanks for coming to Universal. Would you guys like to rate your day? Trust me, you don't want my review. Honestly, once we got back to Disney and had our dinner, everything felt okay again. The tension was gone, we were laughing. Since it was dark out, my pain went away temporarily for the night, so it was like everything that was bad about the day just faded away. Like, sure, my family isn't perfect by any means, but it's still my family, and I do care about them. But fuck Universal! I'd be willing to try again just for that Nintendo World, but as of now, that's one of the last places I'd ever want to be, especially because it's summertime right now. Hello, introverts and extroverts. So my parents divorced when I was 8 years old. I know, heavy subject to start off with, yes, but it's something that heavily impacted me as a kid, but I mean, obviously, it is relevant to state before this story, so that you guys don't get confused on why my dad had a girlfriend, and, you know, just understand my general state of mind. Being 8 years old was a very difficult time for me. Sure, as an adult, it doesn't seem like a lot, but when you're that young, your parents, out of the blue, getting a divorce, at least in my perspective, being the only kid in your school to have divorced parents, your school getting shut down that same year, needing to go to a new school only to get bullied worse than what you experienced before. It's a lot of changes in a short period of time, and it's a struggle when you're a kid that's barely reached double digits. Now, my mother kept all 4 of her kids in the divorce, which meant that I saw my dad for 2 days every second weekend, but right when the divorce was fresh, my dad moved into the house right next door, like quite literally across the street, so I could see him anytime I needed to, but damn, now that I'm thinking about it, it sounds like the plot of a sitcom. But both of my parents got new partners a few months after, maybe less. My mom got with the man who is now her husband, and my dad got a girlfriend before eventually having the girlfriend he has currently, and I'm gonna talk about the previous girlfriend, not the one he has now. Let's call this ex Brooklyn, or Brooke for short. Brooke was extremely verbally abusive. She was the kind of person who's like, I'm blunt and honest, before saying the most mean and unnecessary shit. I mean, like, you can be upfront with people and not be mean about it. I'm just saying. The first day I met her was interesting, to say the least. I don't remember much from meeting her, but I remember one crucial thing. Brooklyn was showing me and my younger sister each of her tattoos and what they represented, and keep in mind, I was 8 years old and my little sister was 7. When she suddenly... I'll have to warn you girls, this one's a little more embarrassing. She showed us a tattoo that was on her ass cheek. To 2 children she was meeting for the first time. Even as a kid, I thought that was weird as fuck. But as an adult, I'm like, what the fuck was she thinking? You shouldn't be showing your ass to an adult you just met without their consent. Showing it to a child should have, I don't know, maybe warranted some jail time, and obviously no one did anything about it because it was a woman. But what if a man did that to 2 children? Like, keep in mind, this was a woman in her early 40s. Not that it justifies anything, I'm just pointing out she was damn well old enough to know what the fuck she was doing. Needless to say, I didn't like Brooklyn that much after that. That, along with her attitude, like she'd get pissed off that my art wasn't accurate enough. Ma'am, I am 8 years old. I only knew how to draw stick figures. Sorry I wasn't born already knowing how to draw. Another example I can think of her being weird requires a bit of context first. So my family tree is quite interesting, to say the least. It requires a bit of explaining. So my mom was married to my older sister's father in her 20s and had my oldest siblings before he left her. Then she eventually got with my dad, having me and my little sister in her 30s before they divorced a few years later. And now she is married to my stepfather, bringing my stepsister into the family, who's just a little older than me. Third time's the charm, am I right? Jess, why are you telling us about your mom's divorces? Isn't this video about your dad? Yeah, I told you, I'm getting to that. So, my oldest sisters are technically my half-siblings. And like, I also have a stepsister. So technically, from my father's perspective, now that he and my mother had gotten divorced, he technically no longer is required to have a relationship with my older sisters, and certainly none with my stepsister. Yeah, that seems like a pretty simple concept to wrap your head around. So it's safe to assume that Brooklyn barely knows anything about my older sisters, and definitely nothing on my stepsister, yeah? Okay. Where are you going with this? She got a tattoo. She did what? She got a tattoo that represented me and all of my siblings. At the time, all minors that she's barely known or never even met. And also, now would be the time to inform you that I've only met Brooklyn like 3 times the entire 7 years that my dad was dating her, because she was from the good old US of A. So even I'm confused on why I'm a permanent part of this stranger's anatomy. So this tattoo, right, it was of a tree that had colored hearts on it. Each colored heart represented me and my siblings, and it had like each of our favorite colors on it that my dad had to ask me for, so it's definitely not something that Brooke found out by, you know, getting to know us. And she had my stepsister represented in the tattoo. That boggles my mind. You have a tattoo with your boyfriend's ex-wife's new stepdaughter represented in it. Like, she's nowhere close to you, and you knew nothing about her other than just her name. That's so fucking weird! Like, my dad has barely seen my stepsister, other than the occasional hello when picking me up on the rare occasion that she's visiting her dad while I'm leaving to visit mine. A few years after the divorce, my dad was no longer able to rent the house next door because the guy who owned it wanted to sell it rather than letting my dad continue to rent it, so he had to live with my grandma, the one who's currently still alive. Her place was a couple of hours away, so every 2 weeks my dad would drive all the way to where I live with my mom to bring us back to my grandmother's place. And that's when I started noticing things a bit more. Like, basically every night that I went over and I'd go to bed, I'd overhear Brooke just yelling at my father. And eventually I started to piece together what she was angry at him about the most. Usually it would be like minor things, stuff that in normal relationships, calm, level-headed communication would solve, but other things were a lot more personal. You spend all day with those little brats, and you don't spend any time with me. Brooke, I only get them for 2 days every second week. That's 52 days total a year. I talk with you every day, just a little less when I'm with them because I actually want to spend time with my girls. You know this. I don't think you love me. I think you love those fucking bitches more than me. I can love all of you the same. They're my children. Well, maybe you should just leave them. They're young. They can forget that you even existed, and we can live our own lives. I don't want that. I like being a dad. Their dad. They need their father. Their mommy has a new boy toy. He can look after those sluts. My dad hit some hard times financially, like really hard times, and Brooke wasn't having it. Even though she knew my dad was struggling, she gave him an ultimatum. He needs to visit her soon or their relationship is over. But my dad didn't have the money to do so. So you know what she suggested? Sell your car and get plane tickets right now. You know, just his car, the thing that gets him to work so he can make money, the vehicle he uses to see his daughters no matter how low he is on money, the car that he uses to physically drive the 7 hours it takes to go see her, instead of, you know, flying her own ass over here to come see him. She's trying to convince him to sell his car. Instead of, waiting however long for him to save up, she's essentially saying, choose me or your children, choose me or your job and your income, because, his work was over an hour away from my grandmother's house. Not exactly convenient to be relying on a bus every day for that. Am I the only one who thinks that ultimatum is actually stupid as fuck? As someone in my own long-distance relationship, commanding your boyfriend to sell the one thing that allows him to go to work and make money? Because 15-year-old me thought it was pretty fucking stupid. Jess, I need to talk to you privately. You're old enough to understand. I need to sell my car. What? Why? I need the money to go see Brooke. Dad, take a moment to actually think about this for a moment. How would you get to work? How would we get to come see you? You wouldn't. I wouldn't. Okay, Dad, listen to me carefully. Brooke has been manipulating you, abusing you for too frickin' long. I hear her, Dad. I hear her yell at you for hours on end. That's not love. If what you had with Mom wasn't love, this certainly isn't either. A person who loves you wouldn't make you give up the children that you already have. If someone loves you, they'd wait till you were actually able to actually see them. Or do it their own goddamn self. You're right. I've tried to break up with her, multiple times now, and she keeps forcing me to stay. I'll leave. For real this time. And so my dad chose his children that day. But Brooke wasn't having it. You useless asshole! I've given you everything, and this is what you fucking do to me! If you don't date me, So that's the end of it, right, Miss Cartoonist? Why are you looking at me like that? So after 7 years of long distance, Dad was, done with Brooke. Brooklyn, however, was spiteful. She started getting close to my uncle, my dad's brother. My guess is to hope that one day, her and my dad will date again, or by being friends with his brother, he'll be forced to keep in contact with her. Whatever the reason, I can guarantee it's not healthy. As for me and my little sister, she somehow thinks that she still has the right to have a relationship with us when all we've ever known about her was how abusive she was to our dad and, I guess what her ass looked like. I had restricted and blocked a few of her accounts whenever I see them pop up because she'll try and message me acting like she didn't try to get my father to abandon me. Ma'am, I want nothing to do with you. I don't want you to commission me. Oh, speaking on that, she tried commissioning me acting like she didn't know who I fucking was. Do you ship to the USA? Ma'am. These are digital commissions. There's no shipping involved. You're not slick. I can recognize that face anywhere, and last time I checked, her account was filled to the brim with AI art, so she doesn't really value art that much in the first place. She just probably wanted to get in contact with me. My dad, however, is in a much better place now, mentally and financially, with his new girlfriend. I have trust issues, so I don't really have much else to say on that, but if he's happy, I'm happy for him. Moral of the story, don't be abusive, and don't show your bare ass to children, or I might just make a video on you. I'm joking, obviously, but still, that was pretty fucking weird, wasn't it? Hello, introverts and extroverts. Most importantly, happy Pride Month. And if you're watching this outside of Pride Month, why are you here so late? Anyway, I hope you like the new look. Well, yeah, I know I'm wearing the same thing, but I did take the time to decorate a little bit around here. Getting back on topic about Pride Month, if you didn't know already, which you probably should by now, I am pansexual. Usually I don't mention it much, but the last few videos, well, the last few story times, I've had to clarify, just because I've seen a lot of people asking and, or it would be regarding that topic. But this video is all about my pansexuality, meaning that I should take the time to actually talk about it. If you don't know what that silly little word means, pansexuality is a subcategory of bisexuality. And since bisexuality is a broad term meaning attraction to two or more genders, pansexuality, which is the attraction to all genders regardless of gender, fits right underneath it. And if you still don't understand, let me use the analogy I always use when people need me to describe the difference between bi and pan. So, some people like pizza, other people like burgers, bisexual people like pizza and burgers, while pansexuals just want to eat. They don't care what kind of food we order or what restaurant we go to. As long as food is provided, we will consume. I can't speak for all pansexuals, obviously, but for me, someone's gender identity doesn't stop me from being attracted to or falling in love with them. As long as they are a consenting adult and there's no cheating, we ballin'. Plus, I feel like personality and how they treat me is so much more important than what someone's parts or chromosomes are. So hopefully I explained that well enough. And no, before you make this joke, I am not sexually attracted to kitchenware. The pan in pansexual translates to all in Latin. Pretty fitting for the sexuality that means attraction to all genders without a preference. Anyways, at the time of this recording, I came out about 5-ish years ago. God, I'm getting old. But before I came out, I had known I was pansexual for quite a while. I think for about 10-ish years now? Jeez, now I feel extra old. Here, let me just, oh, that's better. I didn't even know that queer people were even a thing when I was young. And I mean like under 10 kinda young. I probably would have realized that I was pansexual a lot sooner if I had known it was okay for people like me to just exist. Actually, wait, now that I'm thinking about it, I did know that gay people existed when I was under 10. No one explained it to me, so I didn't realize what the implications of that meant. Let's talk on that for a moment, because now that I'm thinking about it, I remember this very clearly. For context, my two older sisters loved Katy Perry, and I mean loved. I'm talking posters, that one Sims 3 expansion pack, and I think they went to a concert one time. I could be completely wrong on that. One day, my mom was driving my older sisters to dance class. Yes, I was eventually in dance class too. I hated it, but anyway, that's a story time for another day. So naturally, they were listening to Katy Perry on the radio, and the song I Kissed a Girl came on. Me, being a little Catholic girl, and only ever seeing straight couples on TV, I tried to make sense of the lyrics because they were confusing me. I kissed a girl, and I liked it, but the voice sounds like a girl too, so how does that work? Oh, maybe I'm just being close-minded, and the voice is just a dude, but it's in a higher pitch. Like he has a feminine voice, but then again, I saw the posters of Katy Perry, and that's not a man, I don't think. And Katy Perry's a girl's name. Maybe they mean girl as in Katy Perry kissed a guy that just looked like a girl? But then that would mean the guy is wearing cherry chapstick. And I don't think a guy would like flavored chapstick. Unless they do? Mom? Which one is the boy in this song? Sweetie, they're both girls. You can do that? Don't be so close-minded, Jess. I'm only 6. I wasn't trying to be homophobic on purpose. I just didn't know that gay people existed because children's media back in the late 2000s and early 2010s didn't show gay people, and if it did, it flew right over my head because I wasn't exposed enough. It's not like someone sat me down and told me that it was a thing, right? Like, I remember that one Good Luck Charlie episode where they had, like, that married lesbian couple, but I didn't realize that they were married. I don't know if they mentioned it, but, like, I don't know, I thought they were, like, really good friends who adopted a kid together or something. Oh god, I'm starting to sound like a historian. Anyways, I never really had crushes on people growing up, even though I did have a lot of fictional crushes. As a kid, I was faking real-life crushes because I thought I wasn't developing correctly like other girls my age. And I would constantly be asked if I had a crush on anyone, and nobody would believe me when I said no one. So I thought I just had to say a random guy's name just to get them off my back. I knew that my bullies were only asking me for my crush just to make sure that boy would be disgusted by me, and, you know, in hindsight, the reason I probably didn't form any actual crushes back then is because I didn't really know anything about the people in my class, so therefore I didn't get any feelings for them, because the way I function is I literally have, like, barely any attraction to someone unless I know them at least a tiny bit, like just a tiny bit of information, enough to get a read on what they're like and if they're compatible with me, which is why apps like Tinder were difficult for me, because just getting a picture with details like name, age, and occupation didn't tell me shit about your morals, your goals, who you are as a person, or how you treat other people. Jess? Yes, Sock? Well, just so far, it kinda just sounds like you're rambling. Actually, no, you're probably right, Sock. Just get to the point already. How did you come out to your family? Well, it was by complete accident. A total mistake. A big ol' kerfuffle. Like, in my mind, I hadn't even decided that I was going to come out at some point soon. Like, I knew I was pansexual at that point, I just didn't know how to bring it up, and I didn't know if they would even accept it. So, what exactly happened? I was staying at my oldest sister's house for whatever reason for a tiny bit. I had turned 18 years old a few months ago at that point, and it was at those early stages of the pandemic, you know, when people weren't yet at that stage where it started taking its toll. And my oldest and youngest sister and I were playing some kind of board game, a card game. I honestly don't remember because that entire weekend was just a blur for me. Jeez, maybe coming out made me so nervous I forgot some of my memories. So we were playing some kind of game, and we were just chit-chatting, and at some point, somebody brought up dating. I don't know who, but it wasn't me, and my oldest sister was just teasing us and asked my little sister if she liked girls or boys, and my little sister confidently said boys, and then she turns to me and asked the same thing. Not even raising my head, I just kind of blurt out, "It doesn't matter to me." So I just kind of confessed out of the blue to 2 of my 4 siblings about my pansexuality. You have to tell Mom. No, what? No way! What if she kicks me out? If you don't tell her, I'll do it. So within the next, 30 minutes, I was officially out to my whole entire family. Which, when I talked to my little sister about it, asking if she remembered how I came out, she was just like, yeah, when I think back on it, it was kind of fucked up that we forced you to come out to everyone immediately. Which, thank God, my family was accepting and supportive of my sexuality. My mom was only upset because I didn't tell her in person, but don't blame me. Blame my oldest sister. She essentially forced me to come out against my wishes. feelings, okay? It's not that deep. It's just, well, I would have been pissed off if my family didn't accept it and they forced me to come out, but they do accept my pan-ness-y thing. So it all worked out in the end, I guess, and every Pride Month my family throws a little party for me and they call it a Sir Pride, and I think that's just really sweet. My mom usually makes a cute little dessert that's pansexual, like, color themed. And I'm the first one in my family to come out as any kind of different sexuality than just straight, so I am a trendsetter. Anyone that comes out after me, I'm the OG. And because they were so supportive of me, I never felt uncomfortable telling them about my partners, Sarah and Atlas. The only problem I ever had was with my dad, not because he isn't supportive, it's just that he didn't know what to call my relationship. So, Jess, how is that threesome going? Dad, please don't tell me you were going around telling people I was having a threesome! It's a throuple. You call it a throuple, or a poly relationship, or a polycule. Just not the thing that you just said. With that, I'm comfortable and feel like pansexuality describes my preferences perfectly. I've identified with it for over a decade now, and I've been out for about half of that. And I hope that for those of you who didn't know what pansexuality was, or know anyone who's in a poly relationship, that I'm a good example of that, because I often find that those orientations get misrepresented or confused for other things, or just representation in general doesn't always do it justice. Like I said at the beginning, I don't usually talk about my sexuality too often, but since I get asked that question a lot, now you guys have this video to confirm that. And I figured Pride Month was the perfect time to do so. The reason I usually don't talk about it is because my sexuality isn't all that represents me, but it is still an aspect that's important to me.